As the market adjusts to a full rebound of air travel and capacity demand, Avia Solutions Group has emerged as the world's leading ACMI capacity provider with a fleet of over 200 aircraft. Backed by a global team of over 12,000 professionals, the group is a parent company to SmartNex Airlines, Avion Express, BBN Airlines, ClassJet, Magma Aviation, and more, operating in all continents worldwide, while also providing various aviation services including MRO, pilot and crew trainings, ground handling, and other interconnected aviation solutions. Since 2017, Jonas Janukenas has led the group as its Chief Executive Officer and board member, overseeing its expansion across various geographies and scaling its fleet capacity. He shares insight into the current supply and demand for aircraft capacity in the market and gives a forecast into what trends will shape the industry over the next half-decade. If you wind the clock back 5 years ago, obviously the group wasn't as visible as it is today, but fast forward to today, you've emerged as the largest wet lease provider in the world. Could you give us an overview or an introduction into what the group's business is today and some of your main activities?
Our main activity is capacity provision. We provide capacity in terms of widely in the industry known as ACMI, as many forms, wet lease, charters, damp lease, but all in all that's provision of capacity to the airlines. Currently we are mostly focused on the passenger operations. We've developed that a lot. We started on a bigger footing ACMI business back in 2019. Back then we were like 40-50 aircraft company. Right now we are way in excess of 200 aircraft. And of course, sky is the limit for us in that respect. I think during the last few years, more and more airlines, which are our main and dear clients, are accepting ACMI as a mainstream business, as part of the long-term strategy, where they can manage peaks. We originally come from Europe, which is an extremely peaky market, so to speak. Winter and summer traffic are totally incompatible. And then, of course, to achieve good utilizations, we move aircraft to the opposite seasonality areas. In this way, we get a good product to our clients. That's one thing. On the other hand, we get good utilizations and some of the profitability to ourselves as well. So that's the main activity. It takes, as said already, a variety of forms. We are also active in a cargo market, both wide body and narrow body. In terms of ACMI, we are mostly in the narrow body, though we have bits and pieces here and there, but that's our main activity, is narrow bodies on the passenger side. And then as part of our strategy, and we have very cohesive and integral strategy, we have supporting organizations which support our growth, which support our geographical breadth and wide, which is maintenance repair overhaul organization, a very vast, I would say, network of line stations with significant network and ever expanding of base maintenance, and client and pilots training facilities. So basically, what do you need for the swift, on time and reliable service? You need good MRO support, especially in complicated cases, and of course right now in aviation that's common and everyday topic, pilots. So in a nutshell, that's who we are, that's the group, and variety of many different businesses are evolving and surrounding this our main activity, which is capacity provision.
Now, just looking at the scale of the group, obviously scaling from that 2019 level, 40 to 50 aircraft today, which is over 200 aircraft. Fundamentally, what can you highlight that has changed within the group's business over the last 5 years?
I would say we are way more focused on developing. We are very kind of focusing on ACMI developing. We see still extremely good market possibilities for the growth. So that's we have defined it clearly where and we want to be several years ago, and now we are executing on that strategy. As part of that strategy, in order to facilitate movement of aircraft between different seasonality areas, last year we embarked on a very, I would say, dynamic and ambitious expansion in Asia Pacific. We are developing in Latin America and Brazil. We want to create all the infrastructure for the efficient and effective, both cost and time-wise, network of different AOCs across the globe. And that will facilitate the growth of the group further on.
Now, in parallel, looking at wet leasing, it's not a new practice in the industry. It's been there, it's existed in the industry before. But you could say that ACMI or wet lease capacity provision wasn't as visible in the industry as it is today. And obviously today there's a increased demand for it. Why do you think that is? Why is there this sudden surge in demand for ACMI and wet lease capacity provision?
In a way, we are in an interesting market where the supply creates demand. I think over the last 10 years, ACMI evolved a lot. We, as a significant or as the main driving force behind the ACMI expansion, of course, developed as well a lot. In order to be a reliable partner for the airlines, you need to have scale, which we do have. You need to have spare aircraft. You need to offer different variations of a product. And at the same time, of course, to remain agile. For agility, our MRO facilities, our pilot training helps a lot. But I would say that the perception of itself of ACMI as a product changed quite a lot. If you look several years back, ACMI was mainly to fill in the gaps. Now it's coming more and more mainstream. Maybe in this interview, it's not the place and time to name the actual clients who adopt this as a part of the long-term strategy. But I would say there are more and more mainstream or blue chip carriers who accept ACMI as part of the long-term strategy in terms of fleet management, because kind of basics are very simple. If you look European market, and I would say that to a large extent ACMI originated in European market, you have many airlines who earn a lot of money during 4 to 6 months. So for the airline, for our client, it makes a lot of sense not to invest into the fleet which would stand idle for a winter or down season time, and to subcontract significant or part of a peak capacity, so to speak, where you have a lot more agility on the part of a carrier. But for this, of course, the need in the market, and we felt that, and we developed the business accordingly, was for the reliable supply. You have to have adequate on-time performances. You have to have adequate also people who are managing this business, so that you can rely on in long term. And I think step by step that's happening. Of course, there's a lot of talk in the market and current new aircraft for some of the manufacturers, production delays helps that, but I would say that's just a facilitating factor. The basics are very simple. If you need an aircraft for several months, why do you invest into the long term, into like 12 months capacity? Why? That does not make sense. And I think we are filling in this gap perfectly by offering good, reliable service and sizable fleet to the European market in summer. By offering that in summer, and then shifting an aircraft to different seasonality areas across the globe.
Now, just extending on, you spoke about the supply, and taking a look at the group's supply. In 2023, you operated 11 AOCs. Currently, today, you've got 12, and by the end of 2024, your target is to operate 18 AOCs. What are some of the factors that you consider in terms of viability, stability, and implementation as well when either establishing or acquiring an AOC?
Well, that's some of the countries really do limit foreign ACMI. That's the reality. Those are very significant markets. Would that be Indonesia, Philippines? Would that be other countries, Brazil? There are quite big limitations. So for us, establishing this infrastructure, and of course, in technical terms, those are AOCs, but in our head or in my head, this is infrastructure that is needed to move the aircraft across the globe. So the number itself might seem quite significant. Well, we address with the newly the AOCs that are currently under establishment, we address particular market needs. But on the other hand, we create global infrastructure for the movement of aircraft, which is due to certain regulatory limitations currently quite complicated to execute for certain countries. That's on one hand. On the other hand, we have a lot of experience accumulated throughout the years in aviation and in its flying part. So all the companies that we establish, all the AOCs that we do establish, they follow common set of rules, procedures, manuals. This is, so to say, this is not starting things from scratch. This is just replicating already successful practices across the globe.
Now, you named some developments and expansion happening, obviously looking at the West, in Latin America, as you mentioned, and in North America as well. Now, taking a look at the Far East, you've also got developments happening there, be it different ventures, establishing AOCs and acquisitions as well. What's your main strategy or focus in terms of expansion plans in the Asia Pacific?
So we as said already, we already have up and running AOC in Indonesia. Has huge addressable market. They're very active, quite a few players, and the market demand is there. We are also focusing on Philippines. We are focusing on Thailand. We are also working on establishment in Malaysia. So to speak, if you add the total population of those countries, we are talking about 600 million, in excess of 600 million people who travel more and more. And we are here to offer ACMI, to offer charters, to offer different other ways of helping, so to speak, both airlines and people to travel in those regions. And for us, of course, the big benefit that those, as it is quite obvious, those are in Southern Hemisphere, and the seasonality patterns, although they are not so strongly expressed as in European seasonality patterns, those are quite different to the European ones. So not just we are adding aircraft to those AOCs, but we are also preparing to move European capacity for the winter, for European winter.
Just coming back to the ACMI market today, now on one hand you've got a lot of production and delivery delays from manufacturers, and on the other hand you've also got higher lease rates at the current moment, as well as airlines opting to either extend their leases or renew them as well to secure and keep capacity in the market. Why is ACMI attractive currently in this current market, and what's your forecast of what we can expect the market to do over the next couple of years, maybe leaning into the decade?
I would say, yes, you have a point here that currently the market is quite hot for the aircraft, for the dry lease of aircraft. For acquisitions, prices went up. We are quite careful in both in terms of duration and in terms of cost management. So we, so to speak, having a wide network. We are cherry picking what the aircraft that we like. And of course, that's currently the market is a bit tense, though I would expect that market a bit normalizes in 24, second half of 24, 25. We already see that some of the NEOs being redelivered, some other opportunities in the market. So we are quite choosy. We have time. We are here for long term. and we want to really have a good deals for us, and as a consequence, being able to offer good deals for our clients.
Coming back to the supply, but more in particular, fleet management. Now, you've tripled your fleet since 2020. Today, you're operating a fleet of over 200 aircraft, and you expect to operate up to 400 aircraft, reports have indicated. This is by 2027 to 2028. How do you expect your fleet management strategy to evolve from today, leaning into the future?
Well, it will not be so much different. To a large extent, of course, we are looking for different ways to enlarge our fleet. I would not dwell kind of on any particularities there, but the main thing here is emphasize that the demand is there. And then for us, just a question to look how economically and technically viable solutions for our fleet enlargement would be. I would not comment on particular steps that we are taking in that regard, but yes, the plan is there to further expand and then quite significantly expand our fleet. We are preparing physical infrastructure, geographical infrastructure for that, and of course, at the same time, we are sourcing aircraft.
Do you expect your fleet composition to change at any point in the future as you embark on this expansion?
I would not expect very drastic changes. We are the main aircraft for us right now is the Airbus 320 family and then Boeing 737 family. Of course, the renewal of the fleet, more and more in our fleet will be Maxes. I think the time will come and it's about the right time to add Neos to the fleet. But by and large, those are the most versatile and the most reliable aircraft. So we will stick to the strategy of being primarily focused on narrow bodies in terms of passenger. In terms of the cargo, that's slightly different story. We are already looking into an executing program for 777s conversions. That might be slightly different story, but in terms of passenger aircraft, our primary focus is and will be narrow bodies.
Now, taking us on a little bit of a tangent here to get a full picture of the group. Now, of course, a large part of ACMI is the CMI scope of the business, which is the crew maintenance and insurance activities. Could you give us an overview of some of the group's activities in crew maintenance and insurance?
So we have a really wide network for MRO, both situated in Europe, United Kingdom, Lithuania, Indonesia. We are further expanding in Indonesia, in Bali. We already started operation and the new hangar is underway. Also, we started a project which was rather well publicized in Dominican Republic. And this is partially addressing local market needs, and partially this is to address also our need as a group, as a capacity provider in those particular geographical areas. That's one thing. Second thing, for pilots, that's also very crucial ingredient, so to speak, of success. Our member of our group, BA Training, is actively doing both from full flight network in Europe and in Asia. We are very actively also sourcing pilots through other special entities. And that's also a good question. We recently publicly announced as well that we will be starting a pilot financing program, because we really see that not all good young people who choose aviation and who choose this path in their life have means to do that, and we need pilots. So that I would say that's also important thing. We want to ensure stable supply to our airlines of pilots, and on one hand, and on the other hand, we want to give chance to young people who want to go this path, but just for any reasons, the appearance, so to speak, cannot afford that. So we want to mend the situation. We have the plan to finance up to 200 pilots per year. That's quite significant numbers. And then that I hope, and then we are doing a lot on that part, that will further increase reliability of our service. And that will be one of the things to ensure the growth of our group.
Now, from this robust portfolio that you've just given us an overview of, obviously extending to air cargo, air charter, to leasing, maintenance, training, and technology as well, which sectors would you highlight as some of the core performing sectors or core performing parts of your portfolio?
I would say in terms of that if we look at the portfolio itself, of course, that's obvious thing that passengers on the rise, MRO is doing extremely well. We have, though it's not exactly the core, but well-performing ground handling. Pilot training, as said, is once kind of, I would say that it's really crucial for us to ensure pilot supply. That's the key. And of course, that's known to all the people in the market that cargo right now is in a bit tougher spot. I think a lot of conversions were done, especially on narrow bodies during the pandemic, where as the passenger traffic stood still, so to speak, for a certain time. So probably market a bit overreacted, converted a bit too many aircraft, and now we will need a bit of time in the market for it to settle down, so that already 737 Classics, 757s, they gradually, I believe, will be phased out of the market. So market, so to speak, right now is in a bit of a disbalance, though recently already we see some better signs of recovery. But all in all, to summarize, we are on a really nice growth path, and cargo market needs a bit of rebalancing from the heydays of a pandemic, so to speak.
Now, maybe picking out one of the key events from 2023 from the group, you relocated your headquarters to Dublin, Ireland. Is there a significance to this move?
Well, Ireland is the center of aviation, especially of leasing companies. It's a good place to be. I also think it much better reflects our European identity. And in general, it's one of the hubs for aviation. So it's a good place to be, both for aviation and for financiers and for many other people who are related, so to speak, to the aviation ecosystem. So that made a lot of sense for us going forward. I think we will remain there for many years to come.
You've also shared about the core business activities of your core business and portfolio in the group. And obviously, when you look at the industry, there are a range of innovations going on, new technologies coming in as well, and developments and innovations there. Are there any sectors that the group might look to venture in the near future?
We are venturing all the time into new areas. We are investing quite heavily into IT startups for the software. We are investing quite a lot on the pilot different activities, and from sourcing to as said already, to the financing of pilots. And let's see what the future brings. And of course, a lot of things are happening at the moment. So that's also the thing we look at. I would not like to comment on any concrete plans for the very immediate future, but we are really monitoring situation and investing as we see fit.
Now, coming back to the group itself and its scale, obviously today you've got a sizable business portfolio, and obviously that takes a range of resources or focus in terms of management to maintain unity and cohesion and a common vision in terms of how the businesses are run. What's your focus when it comes to that aspect?
Good question. I would say really our main focus as a group is to have the right people who are really focused on execution, who have vision, who see things in common, and of course who have ambition to grow. I think we were really fortunate both to nurture the talent inside of the group. Many people have been promoted to significant positions and already spent like 17 years in the group. And also we are really lucky that with the size we are able to attract more and more talented and seasoned executives from aviation to our group to develop our Asian operations, to develop other operations, and of course we are constantly on the lookout for the talent, because we are really expanding very fast. And of course, and on the second hand, that was on the one hand, but on the second hand, of course, we enforce global standards for operations, global standards for safety. That's important. The size that becomes way more important when compared to when you are at a startup phase.
And just still on this topic of people, today the group has a team of over 12,000 professionals positioned all around the world. What is your focus when it comes to people and nurturing, be it an intern who's starting out to top-level executives in the group?
I would say that we really offer immense opportunities, not just vertical growth, but also geographical growth. We are one of the not so numerous, we are still growing, and not to say that we are the biggest one or whatever, but we are offering a lot of geographical opportunities. That's one thing. We really nurture people inside. We as much as we can, we promote inside, because anyways, we are not OEM, we are not producing aircraft. So it's about the people. It's a lot. As saying goes, metal you can get, but when you need to know what to do it in a cohesive and kind of strategically minded matter. On the other hand, of course, operations are already significant, and we are putting a lot of focus on operational excellence.
Now, coming to my final question here, and obviously looking at your history with the group, you've led it through some critical times, turbulent times in the industry, and the group has emerged as a leading and prominent provider of capacity in the industry. With that in mind, do you ever find time to take some time off and just relax?
Of course. Time was interesting. I think that what the strength of all the people involved, from the board to the executive to many thousands of people, what COVID brought us as an experience, that each crisis, each turmoil brings only new opportunities. So in terms of a mindset, of the whole mindset of a group, the only way is forward. That might sound a bit ostentatious, but look, we came out of COVID much stronger than we entered, much bigger, and you have to be agile, and to adapt to the situation and to see where the market is going. I think that's the key for the group.